Good evening, traders. Russell Sandiford here for easyMarkets, your weekly market update. Now, the outlook for this week is that we have so much data crammed into the next 4 days. There's so much in terms of the talking points for me to cover off. Now, let's start with tonight. We get right into it with the sterling CPI, the inflation data just after that London Open at 8:30 p.m. this evening, Sydney time. That's the first key piece of data that can really start the sterling buying, in my opinion. Now remember, this is the week, not to jump ahead to other data, but this is the week the US will raise rates. We know that. It's so well telegraphed that it is basically 100% probability, and it's also basically 100% priced in. Now my point is, any positive data there out of that Brexit negotiation story, which is becoming closer by the day, in my opinion, to getting clearer, more resolution in terms of that free movement of people across the UK to Irish border negotiation is a huge contentious issue at the moment. Now, getting over that hurdle is one thing, but the sterling CPI can be enough of a catalyst tonight to get sterling back up to 134.5 off the canvas after yesterday's drift lower. And then it's a matter of that US data that we know is coming, and we know that rate hike is well priced in. So markets might do the traditional buy the rumor and sell the fact. So don't be surprised if some of your key markets against the US dollar do firm up a little bit, if there's other data points or geopolitical issues there that are supportive, and there's none more obvious than sterling. So I'm still a big sterling bull, looking for 136. Now let's cover off all markets. Dollar CAD, so the Canadian dollar, basically trading sideways there at that 128.50 level. It's having a bit of a battle because gold slammed down $10 lower yesterday. On the other side of that CAD support was oil found its form again, found its feet again, and got back up to above $58. So for mine, dollar CAD is certainly in a wait and see, a bit of a holding pattern. Now, dollar yen, on the other hand, has had very similar price action. It got back to 13.50 on Friday, obviously on the back of the non-farm payroll data release, got back to 13.50 and has been extremely quiet since, dribbling 10 pips lower than that level today. That's nothing in terms of a daily range, of course, here in the Asian session for dollar yen. Dollar yen for mine is still a pair that I think will bust up to 114 plus. I'm looking for 114.50. Now, where I'm going to say that this may occur, I'm not sure if everybody's checked their data and event risk calendar, but we certainly make that easy for you here at easyMarkets. But number one is Wednesday evening, midnight Sydney time. Okay, that's the very important monthly inflation for the US. Then the crude oil numbers roll out just to distract us for a little bit. Then you've got President Trump making a speech purely in relation to tax reform. Now, I don't expect anything bar dollar buying on the back of that. Following that, a couple of hours later, of course, is the US rate hike is likely, and then following, of course, is the obvious press conference. Now, this will be Janet Yellen's last press conference because January is just a statement, and then February, of course, we get the new Fed chair, Jerome Powell. So don't be surprised if you get a bit of a mixed sentiment, which means whipsawing price action when Janet Yellen is speaking. I think after that settles down in the Asian session to follow, which will be Thursday our time here in the Asian session, that's where you might see those takeoff moves in dollar yen, for example. Now, my other big call for this week, of course, there's action everywhere, is the euro. The euro is dribbling around 17.70 as we speak. It did make its way up to 118 yesterday. For mine, it's a beautiful way to play lower. I love the euro dollar to punch back under 117. I don't think 117 is an ambitious goal at all, but punching under that level, it does need a bit of a catalyst. The big catalyst, of course, is ECB. The ECB Thursday, very likely to do nothing, and in fact hint at a further timeline before they are clearer on rolling out of their QE. So for mine, euro can come under pressure this week. Short euro dollar is one of my top trades, apart from the sterling, of course. So that covers off almost everything. Oil we've talked about. I still think oil can get to $60, but we may need a very big support there in the crude oil inventories because there's not enough headline flow through after OPEC the last 2 weeks to really see oil take a run up from where we are now. Now, the other key commentary we have to make today, this morning, we saw the Kiwi lift a big figure off 68.30 or 35 up to 69 and a bit now. The reason for that, of course, the new RBNZ governor announced as Adrian Orr. Now, that saw a lot more optimism than we've seen in a long time in the Kiwi dollar. How this can play out could be one of the best cross-pair trades this week. I love Aussie Kiwi short, looking for that Kiwi dollar strength to continue. But the reason I also say that is I can see the Aussie dollar is, you can see it on the charts, it's under immense pressure. Okay, the negative yield swap there in the Aussie and US is playing out. We've seen it back to 75 cents, which I've been calling for a while. On the Aussie dollar now have a revised target of 74.50. I think selling the Aussie against the greenback's one of the most obvious trades at the moment. Okay, now there are a lot of other influences there. Thursday, two big things for Australian dollar. Number one, first and foremost, is the Aussie jobs data. If that's a miss or if unemployment ticks above that 5.4, forget it. The Aussie will be under 75. But we've also got the other Aussie jobs metric as well as the China industrial production number to follow just around lunchtime on Thursday as well. So if you're looking to trade Aussie, be positioned before that. It's going to be a wild Wednesday and Thursday, traders. But again, I like Aussie short. I love Aussie Kiwi to keep going higher and to find, let me say that again, Aussie Kiwi to come lower with the Kiwi dollar strength and the Kiwi to keep going higher to make a run for 70 cents. If you guys need a hand with your trading, of course, as always, just come through to us here at the desk.